Pushing the button, making sure everything's not muted, and that I'm on the right. I'm on the right page. Alright, let's move this over here, and that over there, and that over there, and minimize that. No, gotta be able to see everything at the right same time. There we go. There we go. There we go. Have I found something else? No, I'm just gonna show off. I'm gonna show the chapter 4 thing first. Okay, so this week we've got a couple changes. Vexel managed to find a really touchy skip, a really good skip, but a really touchy skip in chapter 4 that's good, but it's not. I don't even want to say it's not 100% because it's not even. It's about 50%, really. And the frustrating thing about it is that you'll be able to nail it like 4, 5, 6 times in a row, and then you'll just fail a whole bunch of times in a row following that. Oh right, all right. Audio is probably okay. Here, this. Let me. There we go. It's Wednesday. Okay. That should be better there. Oh, one. No, I gotta fix this. Sorry, my mic itself drifted. Gonna mute myself for a second. Okay, there we go. That should be. And then I clear my throat right into the mic. Okay, so we've got a couple things that we want to show off first, and so one of the big changes that we've made, and this is going to cut a whole bunch of time, is we've redone the formats. So since literally the only people submitting runs at all are Vexel and I, so since it's just the two of us actually submitting runs to Speedrun, we went ahead and simplified it rather than having the two categories, the new game and the new game plus. We've just merged them into a single any percent category, because there's no the differences between the two are nominal. Like there's no actual real differences. It's just that starting from a new game is slower. So yeah. So starting from a saved game it's faster, and the game runs better. Like the loading zones don't have quite the same level of frame drop, which means that you're less likely to just randomly lose Amy like grip on her hand. So yeah. So with that, and yeah, there's a couple checkpoint skips that potentially open up depending on the open up depending on your load time, and also the basically just with the checkpoint skips, like with the ones that we've kind of mandatorily built into the run, even just off of those, the time saving is almost a minute just on the waiting for the thing waiting for the game to save. Though one of those skips we've actually cut because we've made the whole thing faster. Okay, so this part is as normal. So we send Amy down to that end, and we run through the door. So I'll explain. I'll get set up and explain it in a second here. And I think that's Crystal messaging me. She's probably, let's see. It's probably Crystal messaging me. It is. Okay. All right. So now, normally how you do this, and how we even do it in the run up to now, is you get onto this walkway and you side shuffle across the whole thing. There's a skip that we can do that involves hitting this electrical field at kind of just the right angle and just the right time, and then getting a little bit lucky with how Lana chooses to stumble. And if she stumbles correctly, then there we go. So if she stumbles correctly and lands in the walking zone, then you can just do that and you can run right across it. So that's the skip. I got pretty lucky there in that it only took me 2 hits and I didn't die on the second hit. The problem is that, no, I don't want to go back to checkpoint because I need to actually go back to the train. So if you can pull it off, it's pretty big. Like, I mean, it's a good 10-15 seconds that you end up saving. Like even if you're careful lining it up. And now I wish it were more easily replicated. Like if it was the kind of thing where you could be like, okay, just line it up perfectly and it'll work the vast majority of the time, then even the time you would spend lining it up would probably still be worth it. You know, you'd save, like, you know, you would save time and it would look pretty swag. The problem is that if you fail, either because she doesn't step into the right spot, or because she falls in, or sometimes she'll just instantly die, or any of a variety of other things that can go wrong, you go all the way back to the loading screen and you need to re-exit the train. So this is one of those ones where it's like, all right, in a marathon, maybe you try it, or I shouldn't, yeah, in a marathon, in an exhibition, you maybe try it once, and, you know, if you lose a minute, then so be it, but if you pull it off, hey, it looks pretty cool. But you're not going to try it over and over again. So that time she just didn't stumble quite right. And this time, oh, and now she'll probably just die the next time I get shocked. Oh, not quite. But there we go. See, so that time I actually got really lucky in that she didn't just die as a result of it. So sometimes you can take, like, you know, sometimes she'll just take too much damage on the first shock and she'll just fall over. A lot of times it's on the second. Sometimes like that you can get shocked like 4 or 5 times and she'll just, you know, keep taking it. But yeah, so you do want to be kind of at full speed. Like there's a Vexel's given some better instructions. I'm going a little bit too slow, both because I've been trying a few more like careful approaches, none of which has actually really, worked at all. If you're really lucky, then it goes like that. So that right there is actually flawless. That's what you want it to look like. That one is you're going full speed, you hit the corner, and you just basically hop across you get shocked, you hop across the tiny gap, and you're good. So I've had decent luck here. Like I've only failed out once, but now, like I said, if I sat here and kept practicing it, the next 10 in a row could just fail instantly. So and yeah, it looks really nice. Like it's really cool if you get the whole thing, if you do the whole flow. So I will try it in our actual practice run here. So we'll go out to the menu. I'm trying to remember what else. There's a few small changes. The specific path in Chapter 6 is different. I don't think anything's changed in Chapter 1 at all in ages. Chapter 1... Or wait, no, there's small differences in Chapter 1. A few consistency changes in Chapter 2. Yeah, I think that's the only... I think that's the big thing. Other than that, it's just moving to... it's been moving to the saved game rather than what? Okay, I'm gonna see if... Just checking with Crystal real quick. She's like, "Hey, I hit my goal." So just asking a question real soon here. So why is there blood in the background? The game's not done. So it's supposed to be a virus. Or wait, do they mention that in the game? Yeah, I think they do mention that it is a virus. So, it's a blood infection, and they're kind of zombies because they're zombie. I don't know. It's, yeah. All right. No reply from Crystal. So we will. All right. No, we're already. Yeah, we'll just load. We'll just load it, reload. Okay. All right. I'm feeling it. 3, 2, 1, start. And why is it not... Oh no, why is it not updating? There we go. It wasn't a bad timer, it was just a bad display, bad timer display. I just needed to wake it up. All right, this is Amy 2012. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to run down to this end of the train, grab this stick, and then run back to the other end of the train to hop off. Now that right there, good that we're getting it out of the way kind of early. There's a bunch of meaningless jump scares. There's a whole bunch of pictures and sparky bits and whatnot all over the game world that can randomly spark, fall down, jump out at you, whatever it is they're inclined to do, and Lana will be forced to stop and stare at it for a couple seconds. They happen randomly, so it is pure RNG, and each one eats up a couple seconds of your time. So this is the one level where Lana's hidden stamina meter actually kind of matters, but at the same time doesn't matter. You have no means of actually managing it on your own. There is nothing you can do to change your stamina. There's no reason to conserve it because you need to run from one end of the station to the other and back a couple times. So you just kind of go until you run out of stamina, and then yeah. Now this point right here, we can, I suppose, theoretically we are conserving stamina because this is our I hesitate to call him a buddy, but this is Marcello, and we need to wait for him to get to this door. So we're just going to stand here and ignore him and just wait. We'll just wait for him to give us the thing, and we're going to be staring right at the other thing that we need. And there we go, and we're off. So he's given us a DNA cracker so that we can open the door. All of the doors in this world are locked with DNA, so we need to go get some DNA that can open the door. Now, the game has given us a number of indicators on our map that tell us, like, hey, here's a bunch of places where you can find some DNA, but fortunately for us, the one that we need is always the same, and so it is the dead train conductor, who we were introduced to in the opening, and there we just re-met him. We're supposed to fight him in this cramped hallway, and it is very scary, and we're just not going to do that. We're just going to run right on past him. And now Marcello is catching up to us, and we can ignore him now for most of the rest of the level. The next, we're not going to need him again for a while, and he'll mostly be able to catch up to us. So this is our first mastermind puzzle. We are able to input commands while the puzzle is loading, and really good that time. So we've turned the power off so that we can get through this electric gate that is still sparking, and the button still works despite having lost power. So that's good. So we'll pull this giant thing out of the way, zip into the bathroom, and meet Amy, who we don't need to actually be introduced to at all, because we get to be introduced to the mechanics of trying to move Amy.
Hello there, Amy. My name's Marcello, but my friends just call me Cello. And you can call me Cello because you's a friend.
So one of the things to sort of learn in speedrunning the game is that this is a game where a lot of times you want to go faster by going slower. The controls are not very good, and as a result, it can lead to a lot of you can end up wasting a lot of time by running into walls, particularly when you have to move Amy around. it's often better to go just a little bit slower to jog instead of run, just to avoid losing her on terrain. So we'll get Amy to hack this door for us. Naturally as a mute, verbally impaired, autistic girl, she's a master hacker. We'll discuss this later. So these hacking moments actually, they disguise loading buffers. So right now the first half of the level, which we never need to go back to, is unloading out of memory, and the back half is now loading into memory. And we can leave Marcello and Amy behind for now. We don't need them with us. So we scuttle along this ledge, and now we'll find out if Brian is waiting for us around the corner. And there he is. Brian is waiting for us, and we mistimed it. Brian is getting really dodgy today, and he went down in 3 hits instead of 4. Often Brian is a 4-hit zombie, which is annoying. Combat controls in the game are abysmal. Almost as bad as the controls, and now this is our first Amy hole. Where we take Amy, shove her into a hole, and give her instructions. And in this case, we want her to push the button, and it will open this door. And ideally, we didn't quite. Oh, we got it. Pretty close. We were hoping, ideally, you want to be able to shortcut Amy's response animation there. It doesn't. It's kind of hard to pull off. You got to be in a lot of different, a whole bunch of different places, all at once. So this is the second part where we need Marcello. You can just leave him in the dust here, but if you do, then his AI will get scrambled and he'll run around. He'll run around in circles. So you just kind of want to keep up with him for now. Also, we need to wait for him at the end of this hallway sequence anyway. So from here we're good. We can leave him behind now. He's clear. He'll make it where we're going. But we will need to wait for him at the other end. So oh. So there you go. Lose an Amy on terrain. Wait for Marcello to unlock the door. Now we're going to tell Amy to wait here. Good, Amy. Now, great skip, the ladder skip. The designers saw fit to include a mechanic whereby you can just not watch the ladder climbing animation. It's wonderful. This game is great and finished and good. Oh, there we go. Amy and Lana can both jump off of elevators early. I didn't quite cut that corner. There's a few spots in the game where it's better to, it's specifically better to have Amy holding one hand versus the other, and this is one where you do want her on the right side, ideally, so that you can cut that corner really close and she won't get ripped out of your grip by the wall. Failure to cut that corner, you're really talking about minuscule savings, a second or two at most. Now we just sit here and wait. Well, Marcello is going to go talk to these nice soldiers and see what they have to say. And Marcello gets shot in that cutscene that we didn't watch. Press F to pay respects to Marcello. We can call him Cello, because his friends call him Cello, and use a friend. Chapter 1, 11:14. That's a good time. I think that's a personal best. Second cutscene of the level we're going to skip. We're going to get startled by the banging in the door and pick up a key card. Now, ideally, we can get to... we didn't quite get as far as we want to get, but we got decently far down the hallway before being interrupted. So, we want to get Amy out of this locker that she's hiding in. You may notice that Lana sounds a little bit different there. That's because Lana actually has two voice actresses, one of whom is Francophone, and that is her one line in the game. So celebrate that performance. Now the ogre shows up, and you're supposed to ideally go and hide from the ogre and wait for it to pass, and it's a really tense moment, but we can actually just ignore it entirely and get caught on some rubble. It actually doesn't matter that I got caught on rubble there, because we don't want to go too fast, because we're going to catch back up with the ogre before he's even left in the first place. So we needed the board in order to break this window. The game does not keep your boards between levels, minus a few very specific points. So that's why we needed to re-pick up a board. And unfortunately, our friend... I'm not entirely sure what happened there. I think the ogre heard me. Did the ogre hear me fighting Jared Leto? So it kind of doesn't... we lost a little bit of time there. We lost time on the load, but not too much. And this actually ensures that the ogre is now in the correct position. Checkpoints in this game work in very fixed manners. They give you kind of exactly what the game thinks you ought to have at that point. So what weapons you should have picked up, weapons, key cards, various things, and we'll actually be using that to our advantage a little bit later. So it means that if the ogre is supposed to be in a less dangerous position at the checkpoint, the ogre will now be at a less dangerous position. Come on, Amy, catch up. Triggering this cutscene lets go of Amy's hand, so you need to be careful to re-get it. You're supposed to sneak through this. There's actually and that's a checkpoint, and so this will be our first checkpoint reload. It actually saves a little bit more time, because we're playing from an already saved game, it actually saves time just reloading the game than waiting for the level to load normally. Because now we also don't need to wait for the door to open. And we've got stuff still popping in. Now we're supposed to sneak past this guy, but instead we're just going to get here to the checkpoint and then reload checkpoint again. Now carefully navigate Amy out of the room. Try not to lose her on that bench because our turning radius is about that of a semi. Now coming up here, shout out to Capella Citizen for figuring out these mines in the first place, and then shout out to Vexel for refiguring out the mines. So the actual solution to those mines is that you're supposed to walk through them very slowly, but we discovered that you can just plow through them and take a couple hits, and it's fine. It's fine. It's fine. Everything's fine. We're gonna be fine. It's fine. It's fine. It's fine. It's fine. This is fine. So this area is a little bit random. There's a couple different things. There's a couple different configurations of what this room can end up looking like in terms of enemy placements and whether or not they'll trigger. It looks like right now we're actually getting an optimal arrangement where neither of the zombies in this room, neither of the Jared Letos, are anywhere to be seen, and that's good because then we just don't need to deal with them. And then I waste all of that bonus time by getting stuck on some terrain. But no, that right there is pretty much near optimal for getting in and out of that room. All right. Open the door, open the door, open the door. So we have another DNA lock, and so we've run to the DNA that we need to open the lock. No idea who that was. It's just someone burning in a fire. One of the things I will note, the game looks a little bit worse than the game actually is supposed to look, because the game, don't get me wrong, it normally looks quite bad, but we have intentionally turned up the gamma and brightness in order to better navigate some of the worst parts. So I want you to keep a couple of things in mind as we get into some of the darker parts of this game, is that this is a patched version of the game where the developers went out of their way to make the game as a whole brighter, and we have also then on top of that cranked up the settings that make the game brighter as well. So yeah, that just keep that in mind. All right, make sure Amy is on the elevator, and we'll hit the switch. And now we want her to come over to us kind of as fast as she can. Now she'll go hit the switch, and then we're going to run against this wall until we fall off, skip climbing up on the crate, pick up the key card, hop down, and just walk out the door. We don't need Amy again for the rest of the level.
John, the scrambler in the server room is starting to show signs of wear and tear. Go take a look at it, will you? Now we just need to find that server room.
All right, so we've got the other key card that we need. we're going to go back out
Scrambler is a machine
past
with physics.
the soldiers.
I'll show you.
Get to this spot, crack a health vial, and just zip quickly to our next mastermind puzzle. Oh, I lost my pattern. Well, we'll just go with that. Okay, that makes it actually kind of easy. And we'll switch. No, that can't be. That actually can't be the answer. Also not the answer. There we go. And end of level. The mastermind puzzles, the solutions to them are random. There are a finite number of answers, but there's enough that it would be really tiring to actually try to memorize them. So they're functionally random. I mean, it's not there's a limited number of answers just because it's a bounded sample, but yeah, it's random.
Ellen's cut off.
All right, Ellen's cut off. So this is currently the most painful level in the game for our run at the moment. There's a big. It's not a run ending bug, but it's a truly obnoxious bug that can plague this specific level. Come on, there we go. No, come on, Amy, come out. There we go.
You did it.
Did that? Yes, that worked. Okay. As a whole, this is the level that we'll be doing closest to its intended solution. There's a couple places where we'll be doing it otherwise, but for the most part, this one goes like they wanted you to. And even with that, the things that we do that aren't, strictly kind of how a casual play would be intended, we're not so much, breaking it or truly deviating as much as it's just like, okay, well, we will speed this up by, hitting things in a very specific order, or maybe doing things a little bit more aggressively than would be intended. And if I did that fast enough, it'll leave me on the walk. No, it popped me off again. Okay. So what we did there with Amy's power, I guess that's the first use of Amy's power that we've seen in the game. We are, in theory, supposed to use it. In the last level, that puzzle that we just kind of ran through, there was a glyph on a wall that we were supposed to get, and we were supposed to use that. It's a silencing power that we have routed completely out of the game. So you will never see it in this run. We have no reason to use it, no need to use it so you won't see it at all. But you're supposed to use it to silence your footsteps as you walk across the glass. And yeah, we don't do that. We just run right past it.
Should be able to cut off the security system. Ellen, it's me. I found these syringes.
So since we're stuck on this elevator with nothing else to do, we're going to stab ourselves in the neck with one of our healing syringes so that we're not doing that at the same time. And now we get forced to stop and wait for an explanation of Amy's powers. Oh, and then I go and mess that up. All right, I'm going the long way around. If you don't cut that corner quite right, that happens. So
I'm so sorry for putting you through all this, Amy. You're so brave. Thank you.
all right. Any Jared Letos coming to meet us? There we go. And that should be... Uh-oh. Oh, this is not good. This is bad positioning. This is bad positioning. Come on, Jared. Get out of here. Alright, I'm gonna back off and we'll deal with... There we go. There we go. Okay. Now, unfortunately we took enough damage that we'll need to walk through this mine as intended. But we can hold Amy's hand. There, we're good. And now the worst glitch in the game probably happening. Oh, we didn't. We made it. We made it over the ledge without Amy falling off. Okay, hit this checkpoint, and now we want to make sure that Amy has her powers still. There's a bug where you can cross into this room, and Amy will just lose her powers entirely. And you won't find out that she doesn't have... If you don't check it right away, then you can lose about 3 minutes before you figure out that, oh no, she can't break any more boards. We need to reload. So when you go through that door and hit that checkpoint, you wanna check and make sure that Amy can use her mind bullets power.
Now, this is going to be a challenge, Amy.
And now we're gonna get her,
Plate at the center.
put her on the elevator,
Put our brain capsule.
send that elevator up, run back across, send this elevator down, and then climb the ladder and meet back up with Amy and get her to draw the glyph on her iPad. Now we'll just wait for her to be done. If you position her right, then you don't need to sit through the animation of her drawing. Okay. Also, if you don't position her correctly on that particular elevator, it's really easy for her to block Lana in, which is obnoxious to the extreme. And now, while Amy's riding the elevator, we'll break these boards, saving some time so that the elevator is traveling while the
So proud of you, Amy. You did it.
power is sailing through the air. And now we'll tell Amy to go send our elevator back up. We skipped the one elevator. There actually is one elevator. It was in the last level. There is one place in the game where there is an elevator that has its controls in the same place as the elevator itself. And we didn't use it. So all of the elevators that we will actually use have buttons on the far side of the room. So if you call Amy over while you're walking across the ledge, she is here near the gate, and then you don't need to run all the way across the room to get her. And we were able to avoid triggering her drawing animation, so that while she's busy drawing, we can go hit this button and then come back and get her when we actually need her again. We need to refill her charges so that we can knock down this, and I'm not in a good position to do the other one, so I'll just do it from the other position, the risky position. We've got some risky business here. All right, grab my hand, climb her up.
That's a brave girl. You can do it.
And we're in a good position to break this one. Oh, am I going to make it on time? Oh, I made my train. Good. And now we just need to carefully navigate Amy out of those kinds of narrow areas are the worst. This right here is also bad. There's a whole bunch of things for Amy to get caught on, but we didn't lose her, so now we can just book it down this hallway. One of the numerous areas where you go faster by going a little bit slower. Also, we have Amy in our right hand, which is optimal for this sequence. You're supposed to sneak through and avoid this this soldier, but we can instead just give ourselves a wicked face burn, a wicked just road rash right along the side of our head by dragging against the train car and hitting the end of the level. So now we get to the best level in the game. And by best, I mean the most optimized level in the game. There's a risky strat that I'm going to try out once at the start here. If it fails, then I will do it the slow way, because I will already have lost a... If I fail, I lose a minute. If I succeed, I gain, like, 20 seconds. So, we're gonna... Nope. Didn't... And you know what? That spooked me enough. That's enough of a failure that I'm just going to play it safe and walk the rest. So ideally, if you hit that if you hit the start of this walkway just right, then Lana will get shocked by the cable and she will stumble into the edge of the brush and she'll stumble into the edge of the brush and not missed. Come on. Oh, this is getting bad. I'm going to spend a couple seconds and use the gas mask just for safety there. That's a backup safety. Just in case something goes wrong with the rest of this. Oh no. Oh, executions. Unfortunately, those executions eat a bunch of time, but such is it. Okay, so there's a whole bunch of other stuff that we're supposed to do in this level, but we're just not going to do any of it. We're just going to run through to the checkpoint and reload. Oh, hey, Amy, where'd you come from? All right, so we'll shove Amy into this hole, and now we have a zombie gauntlet to wait on. So we're just gonna rather than actually dealing with any of the zombies, we're just gonna go hang out over here. I mean, we'll still need to deal with some of them, but rather than dealing with the 5 or 6 that swarm you at a time, we'll just have to deal with a couple to come and find us. And you know what? We got a train to catch. And I did it one zombie early. Oh no. There we go. A little bit less flashy than it should be, but functionally the same. We didn't get the crap beat out of us, so we got through the door right as it opened. So we're good. We're good. We're good. It's fine. It's fine. I didn't quite perfectly time it. Yeah. Oh, I did time it. Sorry, Vexel. Yes, I did time it with zombie. So the third, basically, you wait a couple beats after the third zombie, or you wait for the fourth zombie. So it's the guy in the denim jacket. The denim jacket zombie is the one who will aggro onto you and come through the doorway to attack Lana. And so 3 of them will come through. So 1, 2, 3, and then the 4th one will spawn, and that's when you want to take off down the hallway. All right, so we start this level off by pushing a crate. Now we picked up a crowbar at the beginning of last level, or at the end of the last level, and on normal and hard difficulty, it breaks right there on that zombie's head. So we're gonna this level actually has a bunch of instant death triggers in it. If any of these zombies sees us, we will instantly die, unless we are a proper level of infected. And so we want to go stand in that gas until the sky just barely turns pink. And then once it turns pink, once it's a nice rosy hue, we're good to go. So this whole level is actually, or at least the first half of this level, the first giant chunk is a complicated puzzle where you're supposed to bring Amy around to, and then just out of stupid habit, I go and ruin everything by running. That one's on me. So I suspect Vexel is going to get to hold their world record, because I just wasted almost 2 minutes right there for no reason. I'm the worst. How am I 4 minutes behind? I'm gonna have to put our runs side by side to see where's the grate. There we go. I'm gonna have to put them side by side to figure out where the heck they're actually like drifting. A death in Chapter 2, bad Chapter 3 zombie gauntlet, missing the Chapter 4 ledge. Wait, did I take a... Oh, I did take a death in Chapter 2. Okay, yeah. Yeah, a bunch of small things, so... Oh, so I'm not gonna get sub 50. But I am going to beat my own time pretty substantially. So rather than doing literally anything with this puzzle, we're just going to pick up that key card and reload the checkpoint. Hey Amy, how you doing? Oh look, Amy's got all of her powers, which we never bothered to get for her. Come on, Amy. Come on. Come on. Grab my hand. And... Checkpoint. So this is a this checkpoint reload is really just to bypass an obnoxious wait. It actually doesn't save very much time, but you know, any time is some time. All right, we'll get Amy to turn on her lamp for the next little bit as we try to get through the door with the small child. There we go. And shove Amy. It's not quite an Amy hole, but it's close. It's an Amy hole in spirit, if not in practice. So we're going to glitch out a bunch of AI pathing here by closing that door. This is supposed to be a zombie gauntlet of a kind, but if we just do a couple things like having Amy open and close this door for us, the zombies are most of the time unable to figure out where they're supposed to go, and so they just stand around and do nothing instead. And as with all of the other DNA, it is a fixed place, so we don't need to go around randomly. We can just head to where we want to be. And yet another level where we don't actually need Amy ever again. DNA match, access granted, door opens, and we'll just jog on through to the exit brush. All right, so here we are. We finally made it to the hospital where we're trying to meet up with Lana's friend. For whatever reason, Amy, there we go. Lost a second there. For whatever reason, we dropped Amy's hand. Now we're gonna come through this door. Oh. There's the thing I want. I want that thing. I want it. And we're going to grab this thing, and we're going to plant the one thing over there, and now we sit here and wait. Oh, there's the party guest. He likes to get real sinister when he gets good and close. Oh, come on. No, come on, do it. There we go.
Amy, quick! Push the button!
All right, so Willem Dafoe here is technically the big bad that we've been running from this whole time. He's the he's the leader of the Institute, and in on and off screen right before this level, he transformed into to this guy, this thing, this monster. It was the monster inside of him all along, and time. Okay, so almost 5 minutes off. Almost 5 minutes off. That's not bad, considering the mistakes I made. 4 is 0. 53 07.
I had kept my promise to a little girl. She was in good hands now. But somehow I knew it wasn't over.
So, I mean, there was a few obvious mistakes. Oh man. Okay, if I hadn't died in chapter 2, okay, that would have been. I can do sub 50. Like the 2 minutes that I lost in chapter 5 are embarrassing. When I just started running for no reason. Yeah, so sub 50 is in my grasp, and since that, I'm just going to do another one. That took no time at all, and we didn't spend a whole lot of time. Well, I'm actually debating. Do another one just because, I mean, it's only 10 o'clock. We've only been, it's not even an hour, but then it's like, I know that it's going to be, it's like, all right, do I have another 50 minutes? I think I do. I think I'm going to give it another shot, see if I can beat 5307. I should be able to. Yeah, Cadwalder, there's an Amy speedrunning community. 100% of it is right here. So, just gonna relax my fingers a little bit. There's a lot of gripping and a lot of tapping, so we'll just take a break for a second. Yeah, Vexel and I are the only ones who have actually submitted any runs. If you want to, I mean, speedrun.com. You know, there's lots of room. There's plenty of room. The what was I gonna say? Uh, yeah. So there's myself who came up with this bad idea. There's Vexel who has also submitted runs and is currently the first place holder and has found a tremendous number of the shortcuts that we're using. Then some ship toaster. Some ship toaster has also helped us out with finding runs, and Capella Citizen came up with the speed tech that saved an hour, which was pointing out how the laser mines actually function so that we could beat that puzzle in the first place. So, yeah. All right. Night, Crystal. Good night. I could imagine. Well, okay. Some people 100% this. I would imagine trophy wise, like there really can't be that many. How many are there? How many? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Yeah, there's only 12 trophies, and you're gonna get most of them. Like, in fact, actually, the only trophy here that I don't have is Survivor Hard is the one gold trophy, and because there's only 12, like there isn't even a platinum. There isn't even a platinum available. There's no meta trophy, so I already have all but one of these, and so if you just kind of beat the game, you're gonna have most of them. Like if you do a single casual play, uh, yeah, yeah, it's I don't know if I would recommend playing on hard because I mean the game's already not very fun on its own. Like for casual play, this game is awful. For casual, this game is just really an awful game. For speed running, it's kind of fun. I'm finding it to be a good introduction to speedrun. In that we have here in this experiment been able to do one of the more fun parts of speedrunning, which is the actual routing part where you're figuring out like, okay, what can we skip, what can't we skip, what are different workarounds, and that part there, like watching this time chunk down from week to week. So 125 down to 53. Like we've cut a half hour just out of the displayed runs, and we've cut basically an hour out of the preliminary. So my preliminary off camera run was about an hour 40, and yeah, so like just over the last month, watching it go down, just by huge chunks every week has been a lot of fun and has been really interesting. So yeah. Because there's a lot of other speed runs out there that I suppose might be that are a lot more common, that are a lot more popular, and so I think a lot of people would maybe be attracted to those for the reason that it's like, oh, it's people are gonna pay attention. If you go on the boards and you can say like, hey, I have a pretty cool Super Metroid run, people might actually click on it because they, know Super Metroid and they know what a Super Metroid speed run looks like. I'm pretty certain if I went on the boards and was like, hey, check out our Amy speed runs, people are going to be like, what? Like they're not even going to know what name it is. So, yeah. That's been that's been a lot of fun. That's been routing it has been the huge fun. Hugest what am I saying? Routing it has been a tremendous amount of fun and has been sort of one of the most engaging parts about it. And this overall experiment, like I am going to end up doing a video for the main channel about this because I've been wanting to do a video about speed running for a while now. Just because I want to, but I haven't really had a specific topic of what to talk about. And so I'm thinking that this sort of like, hey, personal journey through speed running is going to be kind of where we'll go. So, yeah, there's the RNG is in the game is really limited. It's whether or not certain enemies spawn, and there's only about 5 total RNG enemies. Everything else is a fixed position. I think it might be even lower than that. So there's 2 on the first level. Yeah. Yeah, but like the biggest RNG is the mastermind puzzles. Those are kind of the worst. So you just need to approach them carefully and actually sort of pay attention. Unfortunately, like you can start them with a muscle memory formula, but then you actually do need to pay attention to the results and just solve the puzzle, quickly. But you do need to actually kind of solve it. Yeah. So let's reset that time. Okay. All right. All right. Start button. No, no. All bosses, yeah, for a Bloodborne run, all bosses doesn't include Chalice Dungeon bosses because there's 40 of them. So, yeah. Yeah. In fact, one of them one of them was just finally discovered a couple weeks ago. The flaming headless giant, and I was like, yeah, because Laura was reading me this article. She's like, hey, they found a hidden enemy or something in Bloodborne. And I was like, really? What'd they find? And they're like, oh, well, it's this flaming headless giant. I'm like, that sounds like some Chalice Dungeon bullcrap. And she's like, yeah, it's in Chalice. I'm like, what was it in? And she read it off, like the prefixes for the dungeon. I'm like, oh, that's why nobody found it. It was like it was a like defiled cursed root dungeon. So it was. I'm like, why would anyone ever like root has the lowest rewards. Root dungeons have just the lowest rewards, period. for anything in their category. And so even if you stack Cursed Defiled on top of that, you're still getting, like, you're amping the difficulty dramatically for no reason. And I'm like, oh, that's why nobody found this stupid flaming giant, is because it's in a dungeon prefix that no one would ever run for any reason other than, like, I don't know, but someone ran it, someone eventually stumbled on it, so it happened. Yeah. Defiled, frozen Elsa, corrupted, pregnant Spider-Man dungeon. Exactly. All right. 3, 2, 1, go. Oh, and already forgetting to skip cutscenes. Go. So this game actually this run starts out with about a minute and a half of waiting on loading screens. You may be thinking, oh, well, you already saw a cutscene. What more loading could you wait for? And I have to tell you, just so much more loading. Okay, so now the run actually properly starts, and so we're going to run down the hallway here, grab this stick, and zip back to the other end of the train. So Amy, this is our protagonist, Lana. She was in a train crash along with her kidnappee, Amy. Amy is a mute autistic girl who also has magical powers and is basically a glorified robotic keycard. I have a script about how poorly the game treats Amy. I just haven't practiced or memorized it yet. So we're going to run across to the far side of the train station here. Why go slow when you can go fast? That's not actually true. There's a bunch of places in this game where we are going to end up going slow in order to go fast, just because the controls are a particular kind of terrible that there's a number of places where just slowing down a little bit, just going at a jog rather than at a sprint, saves you time because you spend less time slamming into walls. We got a RNG here. This is a zombie that can spawn sometime, but now we have our full stamina back. Unfortunately, that ate a bit of time because we were fighting that guy while dang it. Hey dude, what's your name? What's your name again? Marcello. Right, Marcello. Well, unfortunately, Marcello caught up to us and stopped, and because he's real slow. He's got a bum leg, so we ideally want him to be walking the whole time. We don't want him to have to stop walking, and so that was unfortunate that he caught up and stopped walking. All right, but anyway, so he's given us this DNA cracker, which is a lockpick for DNA locks. This is a sci-fi game where all of the locks use DNA codes, and so we're going to go steal some DNA. Now, a number of dots have popped up on our mini-map, but fortunately the results are not random. So we can just run straight to the DNA that we need, which is the train conductor. And oh look, there's the train conductor. He's a zombie. But we're just going to push right on past him and keep going. Now Marcello kind of catches up to us there, but it doesn't matter. We don't need him. We're out of stamina. And now we've got our first mastermind puzzle, and wait, did those just... Oh, wait, no. There we go.
Fantastic. The juice is down.
All right. Move, Marcello. There we go. Oh, we're getting a little unlucky. Both of the bonus zombies that can spawn in this room have spawned, so that's a bit unfortunate. That ate a little bit of time, but it's not too much. Not too much.
Amy,
And now we actually properly meet Amy. We just got to navigate her out of that doorway properly, and then we can just book it. Just book it. And get her into the Amy hole.
Been looking all over for you. You's a brave little girl. How'd you manage to hide from all these monsters? Huh?
There's something a little bit disturbed about Amy's design, and how often they have her crawling on her knees, and she's got these paw prints on her knees. It's just there's just something weird about it. It's just something weird. Not quite right. Especially since much of the way that the game treats her, she could just be replaced with, a particularly smart dog.
help us out?
No, this little scratch, don't let it scare you, Amy. I got it from my last client. Can you believe that? A regular. I asked Mrs. Jenkins for my fare, and she up and sinks her teeth into me. 20 years I've been driving, and nobody ever bit me. Not even when I was driving the docks in Jersey.
So these hacking moments actually disguise loading zones. The front half of the level is being unloaded while the back half is being loaded in. Oh, and there's our first jump scare of the run. A random spark out of the wall.
I won't be late.
All right, let's see if Steve's here. Steve is here. That is 3 for 3 on the random zombies. And Steve is going to take a bunch of hits.
Amy, you're such a brave girl.
All right, come on, Amy. Get a good handhold on Amy, and we'll zip around into the next Amy hole. That was 3 hits on Steve there.
Everybody but me, that is. Well, the monsters.
Quickly push the button.
Oh no! Oh, so bad. We weren't able to cut off any of those cutscenes, but we did earlier cut off Amy's first response cutscene entirely. We were able to short circuit it with with the
Amy, stick close to me.
cutscene of Lana putting on the harness instead. So this part here, we need to pace this just a little bit. Marcello, we can leave him in our dust, but unfortunately, if we do that, his AI freaks out and he starts running around in circles instead. So we do want to make sure that we stay with him just long enough, that we can make sure that he's not broken. And okay, there, we're good. We're good now. We do need to wait for him in this hallway up here. He does need to catch up to us, but I would rather wait for him at the end of the hallway than
No door is smart enough to beat Cello with his magic key. After use, ladies.
All right. Now we learn how to tell Amy to sit and stay, and we get to skip ladders. Followed shortly by teaching Amy how to fetch.
I'm so proud of you, Amy. You did it.
Oh, that sucks. All right, lost a couple seconds there because Amy did her little hop of joy animation, which unfortunately canceled her previous pathing. Oh man. Oh, I got a jump scare as well right as I was coming around the corner. So this chapter 1 has been about as bad at almost as bad as it can be without actually screwing anything up.
Hello there. I'm alive. I'm not sick. Just a little beat
So pretty much every small random thing that could trigger did trigger. So that said, even with every small thing triggering, it still in aggregate only adds up to about 30 seconds. So my best time on the level is just over 11 minutes, and this one was basically 12 minutes. So did I get it? Yeah, I did. Oh, wasting time because I didn't bother watching the. So if there's most things in the game don't have a pickup animation. There are a few, but you can bypass the animation if you're running. The downside there is that you can then just kind of lose track of it entirely. So I doubted myself and went back to make sure that I had gotten the key card, even though I already had it, which probably took up Uh, Realistically, it took up about as much time as if I had, just picked up the key card. So it's not too bad. It's just less than ideal. So we actually need to kill just a little bit of time here. The ogre, you're supposed to hide from the ogre and wait for it to leave. We didn't do that. So we need to wait for... There we go. All right. I actually probably killed more time than I needed. So this is our first evolved zombie, Jared Leto. And Jared was very cooperative this time and went down without a fuss.
That's a good girl. Bravo.
Oh, skippable. I always forget that cutscene is skippable for whatever reason. So this is supposed to be a stealth puzzle, your first stealth puzzle in the game. We just skip it entirely and then quit to checkpoints. I hit certain points in the game where I start like reading chat and it's like, oh, wait, no, I need to be focused on the game. Okay. So because we're playing from a save game, it actually reloads the game at the checkpoint faster than the game loads the new level. So, and when you're playing from a saved game as opposed to a new game, checkpoints trigger in a matter of frames, so I don't even need to wait for that animation to finish before I can start loading from the checkpoint again. And we just need to make sure we don't lose Amy on that bench. And we can just book it around this corner. The soldier's actually off to the right. By skipping all of these checkpoints, we've basically shortcutted the soldier all the way to his second last position. And yeah, now this hack we do need to wait on. It's unfortunately not a checkpoint, so we get to sit here and just kind of wait for it.
You're such a brave girl. We're getting out of here.
So there's a couple different configurations here of where the zombies can be placed, and it looks like we got not quite the best, but we got the second best with one Jared Leto.
These words from the great book seem truly appropriate today. For the great day of his wrath is come, and who shall be able to stand? And when he had opened the seventh seal, there was silence.
So that was almost optimal there. And now this is also a checkpoint that we can skip the rest of waiting on that door by just reloading that checkpoint. and I didn't need to grab Amy's hand there technically, but we got a nice Amy launch out of it. That said, by doing that skip, by reloading that checkpoint there, you don't it cancels the rest of Mr. Preacher Man's speech. Otherwise, it keeps playing for most of the rest of the level, actually. Oh, we need to grab our one syringe that we're going to need later. And now, zip on down the catwalk. Tell Amy to get on the elevator. Hit the button for the elevator. And now we switch places with Amy. We want Amy to go push the button. Push the button, Amy. Alright, so Amy's up on the top there, and now we're supposed to basically do what we just did in reverse, but instead, what we're gonna do is we're just gonna leave. So if you hear the tapping, what the tapping is in order to run, you need to pump the square button, and so a lot of this game is basically just hammering buttons in order to hit things as soon as possible. And when you're not hitting things as soon as possible, you're pumping square in order to run. So, jump scare, sparks, jump scare door. Alright, so back in the hallway. Gonna stab ourselves in the neck real quick. And our second mastermind puzzle. Okay. And end of level. Don't allow the creatures to drain Amy's vital essence. So now we're on to probably the air quote worst level of the run, in that this is the level where there's sort of the least to do, or the least interesting, the fewest interesting things to do. This is the level that is going to best resemble the actual way. Well, I guess actually level one we do pretty much 100% as intended. We just do it fast. So this is this is a longer level that actually requires you to. No, that didn't do it. Oh no. You know what? I'm not going to do it from here. I'm going to do it from up top. I don't like doing it from there anyway.
You need to get up onto the roof. You can do it.
Oh, no. Well,
Ellen's cut off.
The metros are on automatic pilot. There's one running every 15 minutes. You just need to get down to one. Take the North Line, 7 stations. There's an entrance directly into the hospital.
there we go.
Bravo, Amy.
Okay. We need to get up onto the roof. You can do it.
So what happened there was Amy's second, I wound up wasting both charges. The first one didn't connect with the breakable, and the second one hit a post and dissipated instantly, and so I reset rather than taking Amy all the way back. So
Now wait here.
I lost. I I don't think it was actually that much. Like a minute. It was probably at least a minute, but the level the restart from checkpoint went really fast. So I'm not quite sure. I'll need to check in replay for how much time I lost, but I think it was only about a minute, which I mean still sucks because I don't want to lose a whole minute, but
Lana? We've got this weird theory we're going over. It looks like the only people who are turning into these monsters are citizens born in Silver City. It's weird. Have you noticed anything?
Right, Elle.
so that one mine right there functions differently from all of the others that we have to go through in that it functions the way that it's actually supposed to.
Should be able to cut off the security system. Ellen, it's me. I found these.
Um,
Soldiers are equipped.
no, Amy, why are you hitting it? Why are no? What is?
You must be wired like a... Your sleep cycle is going to be seriously out of whack if you...
Sleep is the last thing on my mind right now, Ellen. Have you learned anything?
I'll run that by the team. And see if we can't figure out a way to reverse the
They
mutation
were waiting
process.
for me. Damn.
Not a normal infection, Lana.
I'm so sorry to put you through all this, Amy. You're so brave. Thank you.
All right. Well, we wait for Amy to come down. We're gonna check. Do we have any? Yeah, we got a couple. There we go. All right. Amy. There we go. All right, that's not going to work. I didn't build enough speed to start, so we'll need to actually walk through this one as intended, which is it's gonna cost me. It's gonna cost me a bit of time. It's gonna cost me time. I actually really don't like this level for a lot of reasons. There's a lot of little things that can go wrong on this level, and for just whatever reason, this is the level. This is consistently the level where I personally end up making the most mistakes. So I don't like it. This is my to improve. All right, we hit that checkpoint. We want to make sure that Amy has her powers because she can bug out here. And now we're going to tell her to go hit that switch. So far, this room is going better than normal because I'm thinking ahead. I'm one of the most common things that I personally screw up is that I'll drag Amy halfway to the elevator before sending her to hit the button, and for whatever reason on this specific run, it's actually registering the spam inputs. It does not normally do that.
Now, this is going to be a challenge, Ian. It's like one of those games we played at the center. Let's put our brain.
I won't say it never does that, because it does totally do that sometimes. Also, I'm thinking, so I briefly had this, like the lower one indicator while I was going up the elevator. I'm thinking I could actually send Amy across. So it's like have her hit the first one, and then as Lana's riding it up, send Amy to hit the second one, because it's like it's going to take Amy long enough to get back and forth from one to the other anyway. Like, you've got enough time while you're pulling the crate out for her to go all the way across and do what needs to be done. Okay, so while Amy rides the elevator, we're going to use her shockwave power, because this ends up doubling up. While the shockwave is traveling, time is in motion. So
You did it. Wait for
So the elevator keeps moving while the shockwave is traveling. All right, we want to tap Amy's call button as we get onto this ledge, so that she'll be waiting closer to the gate here. So that we're going to go down a ladder and open up a gate, and we want Amy waiting near the gate so that we don't need to run all the way across the room to get her, or wait for her to get to us. And so she's waiting here. Come on. And now we're going to use her last charged shockwave and recharge her here. And now while she's busy doodling in her iPad, we can run down here and hit this switch to double everything up. And if Amy's done, we can call Amy, shockwave that one. I don't know why she turned around, but she did. and shockwave that gate, and now we're good to go with the remainder of the level. Come on.
That's a brave girl. You can do it.
All right. So we were talking earlier about places where you want to go slow to go fast. This is one of them. We are very prone to losing Amy, losing Rip on her in all of the hazards in this hallway. So going at a full bore run often means having Amy ripped out of your hands, and then you need to back up to get her again. And so it's faster to just take it slow, take it safe. But right now we have the optimal setup in that Amy is gripped in our right hand, meaning that we can just grind Lana's face against these train cars instead of sneaking through anything and just into the train, and there's end of level. So the swag shots, I'm figuring with those are going to be great as a. I mean, we don't really have a lot of things that we could do as a, I don't know, donation incentive or whatever in a charity marathon. So I figure those are a good one because they don't take too much time. They're very repeatable. And they're flashy. So if it's like you're not going to get a world record by doing them, you're not going to get the fastest score by doing them. But if it was an incentive and people did meet that donation incentive, then it's not high risk and it's not going to take a tremendous amount more time. So yeah. The inverse kinematics on Amy's wrist are amazing, player number 3. They're really, really great. So this is Chapter 4, Tribulation, which is probably the most fun of any of the levels. It has the most skips that we found. The first one here I'm going to try once, and hopefully it'll work, and it did... Sort of. That is a dangerous position to be in. Oh, okay. So that's unfortunate, but it did not take nearly as much. Like, that death is not as bad as it could have been, because at least I will be on this side of the gap. So I'm only losing about 20 seconds instead of the full minute and a half if I hadn't made it across the gap in the first place. So that's bad. That one, however, is bad. Frick. Well, there goes this run. So that first one, I actually lost about as much time as if I had had to just walk across the thing in the first place. Um, and then, oh man, so much for my flashy, fancy chapter 4. All right. You're just gonna have to take my word for it. The chapter 4 looks frickin' dope if you get it all. Well, at least we died at the right spot. Sloppiest chapter 4 I think I've ever done. But, and I should put my can down. All right.
Amy, do you see anything? Can you open it?
I mean, that last death was technically slower than ideal because I still had to wait for the "you are dead" to come up. But at least I hit the at least I died on the right side of the checkpoint, so I didn't need to redo anything. All right, so we got Denim Bro number 1, and he's dead. And we got Denim Bro number 2, and he's dead. And we got Denim Bro number 3, and he's stuck on a doorway. And you know what? I don't have time to wait for him. I got a plane to catch. If you hold Amy's hand all the time, she cannot help you by searching a place. This is a mechanic that doesn't exist in game. You can't send Amy to search anything. She can't, like, well, I guess she kind of can. That she can go get things out of Amy holes, but that's about it. The interesting thing about that tooltip is that you can't send Amy to search for you. Oh, we gotta wait a cycle for this guy. All right. You can't send Amy to do anything unless you're holding her hand. Yeah, there's a bunch of notes and stuff that we've, like notes and photographs and things that you can pick up. Most of them don't do anything. There's not even that many in game. All right, Amy got tired of waiting and has started running towards us. We don't actually need to care about that too much because even if a zombie starts draining her, on easy mode it takes quite a while for her to die, and we're just gonna pick up this key card and reload and oh, hi, Amy. And checkpoint. So on normal mode, if you bump up to normal mode, there's a bunch of the changes that you would expect in that it's like you take more damage, stuff like that. Infection rate changes in normal mode. I'm fairly certain that our skip on this level is impossible in normal mode, though I haven't tried it. And the end boss is 2 cycles longer on normal mode than on easy. So even if there are no other changes, like even if everything else in the run is identical between normal and easy, the simple fact that the final boss takes 2 extra cycles negates it. And the hard mode, the boss takes 2 more in addition to that. So, though I'm fairly certain that the vast majority of our skips, a lot of our skips kind of count on the fact that that there's a bunch of zombies that we can just kill instead of needing to fight, or instead of needing to sneak around or solve puzzles to deal with. And because of that, hard mode would be impossible. There's a whole bunch that you're supposed to solve. You're not supposed to engage with, and instead we just kill them because why not? So we get Amy to open and close this gate here in order to break the pathing of a bunch of zombies. This is supposed to be a zombie gauntlet, but by having Amy close that door before it even starts, the majority of the gauntlet bugs out. Now, not 100% of the time. Sometimes they can find their way back to here, but even then, generally speaking, you can just push past them instead of dealing with them, and you don't need to actually do anything remotely resembling a gauntlet. And then we just unlock the door and run to the brush. No, come on. No, come on. Damn it. Why did that happen? Ah. I'm upset because I don't think I'm gonna beat my own 53. Where did he go? He should. Where did? Oh God. No. Oh, there he is. Okay. Okay. Well, that went better than last time, so that's good. Didn't get hit there. That's good as well.
Danny, quick, push the button.
Okay.
Danny, quick, push the button.
No. Well, actually, that doesn't change anything. She can hit it twice. That's fine. I mean, it used time, but... Come on, man. Come on. And... time. Oh, jeez. Oh. I'm sad. I'm sad. That level 4, that chapter 4 just
I got Amy to the doctor, and for the first time I had the
all right. 5259.98. Do I make that 5300 or do I say no, it says 5259? Do I round? Do I round?
I had kept my promise to a little girl.
Or should we just round down? Do we go ahead and round down? I'm just gonna skip. Oh man, chapter 4. $52.59. Oh no. I just did the wrong one. What did it used to be? What did week 3 used to be? Ah, crap. Oh, it was 57.54. 57.54. Yeah, no, I accidentally wrote over I wrote over Saturdays, the 3.5. So it was 57.54. So I am erasing, since this is the week 4 night, I'm just going to use the better time of the week 4 runs. So 52.59 rather than my 53.07. I spent so much time practicing chapter 4 and then just I getting bounced around. It was getting bounced around by the lightning, like, or by the electricity on the floor. That's the one that chaps me. Is there's like picked up the board and then just got shocked twice because her animation like stepped her forward or something. It was just oh. I've had I have had a 4 minute. I've had chapter 4 in like 4 minutes. It was beautiful. So I'm thinking, I mean, obviously, times are still getting better. You can see that with a little bit more finesse, Vexel's got it down to 47. With a little bit more finesse, I can probably cut off. I don't know if I can cut off that 5 minutes. I don't like unless I just get like really lucky with like everything coming up Millhouse. But I can at least shave that last 3. I can definitely shave that last 3. Oh, so it's 6. Sorry, it's 6 minutes. 6 minutes difference. So if I can shave if I can shave that 3 and get it under 50 consistently, then, or even just, I mean, even just with where it's at right now, I think it's in a decent place to start actually like scripting it. It's pretty stable at this point. Like I don't really see us coming up with anything major. I have been thinking about it, but I can't in my head see anything major that we might come up with. So start scripting, then start maybe seeing if we can woo GDC, or not GDC, GDQ. Start wooing GDQ. Yeah, the only major skip so there is a skip that we know is okay. We can get an ideal chapter 4 down to like 3 minutes. I'll show you. All right. I doubt I will be able to actually do it though. So I'll show you what it is. Yeah, so it is possible. It is not probable. Like, it is so far below repeatable that it's like, if we did chapter by chapter bests, like, if we allowed you, if we amalgamated the total run out of just best chapters, then this would be in theory doable. Because if you can pull it off, then the rest of the level is cake. This would be ideal. It is not marathon safe at all, and the crazy thing about it is that it's a big skip, like in terms of how much you end up going over, but it still only ends up saving you a minute over over just kind of doing it. So it's not in the course of the run as a whole. Like, this is the biggest skip that we know of, right, or that we're currently thinking of right now. But the route around here is already so optimized that like it doesn't matter. And so what it is if your timing is absolutely perfect and your luck is pristine, And like, so you need Lana to take the correct amount of damage. You need to trigger the correct stumble animation, and you need to be standing in the correct, you need to be hitting the absolute correct spot when it happens, but you can. So there, that actually got pretty close. You can get around that. So that's what it is in theory, and you'll pull it off about once every. I've pulled it off one time out of probably 30 attempts. So that's what it is. So if we were doing segmented runs, then that would be the ideal, because you would just do it until you got it, and then the rest of the level is cake. But yeah.
Ellen, can you hear me? Ellen,
Anna, are you at St. John's Station?
I don't think so. The train is stopped.
Can you tell me where you are? Give me a clue or something, and I'll give you directions. You can't be far from St. John's.
Okay, I'll keep you posted as soon as I figure it out.
Oh, yeah, fell off that time. So, yeah. The hallway skip becomes super temperamental if you do that skip. Okay, so I shouldn't say the rest of the level is cake, because the one time that I've managed to get across there, I then just completely whiffed it and died to zombies, because you take so much damage getting across that, like, if you don't dodge properly, like if you just fat finger fighting a zombie and it hits you, you die. So yeah, that and Vexel's managed to do it a lot more, but says that the hallway skip becomes super temperamental, and gets bad. The one syringe hallway is super sketch to me. I like doing the 2 syringe, but it does take more time. And yeah. But yeah, we're just gonna exit out. Oh, there was a question back before I started the final level. That I wanted to answer, but I was in a focus. Someone asked what's it like spending so much of your life on a notoriously bad game, something like that. It was something along those lines. There's honestly, like, the game is so bad, like, from a casual play standpoint, that there is a truly satisfactory level of catharsis to speed running it. And I think this goes for a lot of people who speedrun bad games, is that, like, or bad games in particular, is the catharsis of doing it, of taking a game that may be, like, actually just really unfun to play honestly, and to just break it over your knee. There's a catharsis in that. Also, as people are saying that speed running, that once you kind of move into that level, speed running becomes the game, and Amy is just arbitrary content for that game. It becomes an abstract problem that you're then dealing with. We are no longer engaging with Amy on almost any textual level. You know, we in fact go out of our way to strip text out. And this is one of the things that's actually fascinated me about speed running is that, like you watch GDQ, like I always think it's funny when I'm watching a GDQ event and someone's doing a speed run of a game that they learned as a speed run, like that they never played it casually. They basically like they were looking for another speed run to do, and someone's like, "Hey, you should try this game," and so they just watched a couple runs, read basically what the route was, and then just learned it from the route, and they've never played it casually, and they just actually honestly do not know what happens in the game. Like they've never seen any of the cutscenes. They've never read any of the dialogue. They've never talked to an NPC that they didn't need to. They never waited for text that, like, if text could be skipped, they just skipped it. And yeah, so it's been kind of interesting to me to see people in that kind of place where they have spent hours and hours and hours and hours with the game, and they still could not even tell you the plot. So it's an interesting change, and it's a very unique relationship to a text that only exists in these kind of edge communities. These very particular forms of engagement that are specific to games. So in the same way, like it's similar to how games also facilitate a level of engagement for multiplayer only players, like people who buy Call of Duty specifically for the multiplayer, and they never even load up. Or actually, since Call of Duty has started segmenting their installs, like particularly if you play on PC, the multiplayer is a different install from the single player, and so you get these people who purchase the game and they never even install the single player campaign, and that's their engagement with that text. They are functionally playing a completely different text from everyone else. They are playing a different game almost entirely, and I find it fascinating how games do facilitate that, and I think it's an interesting thing that kind of does deserve to be talked about, and does deserve to be taken authentically. So, yeah, yeah. Part of the reason, like this kind of fascination in the textual level of speedrunning as performance art, speedrunning as performance, as, display, as, a form of both puzzle solving and performance. It fascinates me, and I find watching it entertaining, and I find I think there's a lot there to talk about from a critical perspective that no one's really, at least as far as I've seen, and maybe I'm wrong about this. Maybe I'm just haven't been looking hard enough, or I just haven't, been pointed in the right direction yet. But I don't know if anybody's really talking about speed running from a textual standpoint. And so I think that's fascinating, and I think that's something, that's a niche there that kind of deserves to be looked at and looked into and talked about. And I figured that by doing it, like, this is a particular case where where doing it is going to be revealing. And I would say it has been. That going through the process of learning a speed run, of even, more than that, not just learning a speed run, but creating one, has taught me a lot about, how the engagement with the text changes, how it does shift into a different sort of puzzle, and you begin to see the game as a different sort of thing. And yeah. Have I ever looked at the Trials HD and Trials Fusion custom course creation community? Okay. So my main exposure to the Trials community is unfortunately awful. So my one exposure to them is AGDQ last winter, where there was the 2 or 3 hour, it felt like 8, Trials Fusion block that was, honest to God, basically 2 hours of silence as 3 people sat there and just played the game. And now I understand it was the situation of sitting there watching it, being like it's such a subtle, slow moving, precise game that without an effective commentary, without someone effectively calling what is happening and explaining it, without someone actively decoding it for the audience, it looked like nothing. It looked so meaningless and so boring, because it's literally like tightrope walking. That game is literally like tightrope walking. It's the need to maintain balance is the skill on display. But if you don't know how hard it is to pull off the things that they're doing, it doesn't look difficult. It just looks slow and boring and frustrating. And so it was not a very engaging run just kind of on its own. It was not one of those games where it's okay, you look at the glitch run for Doom where they're doing this stuff, they're doing the rail skips where it's okay, they jump up onto the railing of a banister, and then they start vibrating 1,000 times a second and fly up into the air, and then need to land on a very specific point before the level geometry finishes loading. And even if there's no commentary with that, you're gonna watch that and be like, okay, holy crap, that was rad. You do have games that have those kind of runs where they'll do something difficult, or they'll do some, but it's not just difficult, it's also self-evidently cool, and it's fun to watch. And the Trials Fusion run, unfortunately, without commentary, was grueling to watch. And so unfortunately that has been my main that was my exposure to Trials Fusion, and it was just this awful 2 hour block, and I hated it so much that I went and dragged them at the start of SGDQ this year. It's oh look, Trials Fusion isn't back, good. And that was I shouldn't that's a little cruel. I shouldn't have done that, but yeah. Yeah, Sayori Cake has it. A good marathon run is more about good commentary than the speed run itself being good. I would say It's both. Um, uh, what am I saying? Sorry, I'm getting distracted. Yes, no, Vexel's right. I should, I, I did some light Twitter dragging. I didn't. I hope I was not cruel, and I would say that. I mean, at the same time, I think my opinion about that Trials Fusion block mirrored much of the audience's, in that it was, well, perhaps technically. I mean, I guess everything I've already said, that while it was perhaps technically impressive, it was not a very entertaining show, especially since it was in a prime time slot. That was kind of the main, like, that was the major contributing thing to, I think, everybody's frustration. Is that it was a very long block, in a prime time slot. So it was like you got home from work and could finally watch some, GDQ, and it was this. So if it had been in a less populous block, I think people would have been a lot more kind of forgiving to it. So, yeah. There was what was the other thing? What was the other thing that I was actually saying? So a good marathon run is more about good commentary than the good run itself. I would say yes, that the commentary ultimately, from an audience's perspective, and this is one of the things that I really want to, that I think with Amy I'm at the phase of really starting to work on, is getting the commentary script up to a really good place. That I think you're right, that the commentary, the performance, the public performance side of it is more important than the run itself. The run itself still needs to be good, and you then maybe in the run maybe want to make some decisions, in the same way that there's a talk about, like, okay, well, marathon safe strats, that it's like there's some things that you want to change how you do, not because, like, that are slower but are more predictable, specifically because they're going to play better in a marathon. Like, you're not going to end up wasting minutes and minutes on end trying to do something very difficult. You're not going to end up, worst case scenario, you're not going to end up in a run ending lock or anything like that. You definitely want to avoid stuff like that. But so in the same regard, I think there's a certain point where you maybe want to make decisions, not necessarily because they're faster, but because they're more entertaining. And I think that's an interesting question to kind of bring into the mix when you're talking about a marathon performance. What I would actually point to as, like, the platonic ideal, in my mind, the platonic ideal right now for what a speed run performance, like marathon performance, should look like, it was last AGDQ, so last winter, the Deus Ex, the first Deus Ex, the Deus Ex speed run. The commentary for it, and, like, so it was a perfect mix of good play, entertaining bugs, and funny, well-timed, well-rehearsed commentary. That having, like, it had all of the elements kind of in place, and it was very, very well practiced, and it was so much fun to watch. That's the one right there that I'm kind of, like, in my mind, yeah, is kind of that thing. There was some other questions. Yeah, so Amy's powers don't affect Lana. You can't. I have tried in multiple places. You can't use the force bullets to push Lana. I think if you could, then there would be some, conceivably interesting skips in chapter 3 where, maybe actually, if Shockwave affected Lana, there are so many things we could try. There are so many rad things that we could try. But unfortunately they don't. They actually just go right through her. So, yeah. Is there a single aspect of Amy's story that I think is neat? Are there positive takeaways or cool ideas there? No. Like, I'm actually just gonna say no, because anything that Amy's story, there's barely anything there, and what is there is either new and offensive, or just like straight out of the stock, stock assets barrel. Like, it's all exactly like, from what you have seen, you could probably guess, like accurately guess the story of Amy without even trying. That it's like, okay, she's she's a gifted kid. She's got psychic powers, so she was probably in a institute somewhere, being poked and prodded, and then she broke out, and then zombie apocalypse happened, and yeah, and that's it. Like, everything else, every other story beat other than that is basically just them trying to get to the hospital and something happening that prevents them. Like, it's like, oh, the train breaks down or whatever. Like, it's that level of stuff. It's purely mechanical sort of plot, needs to not even move forward, but we just need to bridge location A with location B. There's no actual evolution to the plot. You don't learn anything that you couldn't have guessed. And yeah. Like, it's so it's stock. I don't even want to say it's cliche, but like, it's beyond that. It's not even a first draft. It's placeholder. You know. Yeah. So what wound up going wrong with the development is basically development was not going well, and then they ran out of money. They wanted to make, a full-scale game, but they ran out of money. They couldn't find a bigger publisher. They were functionally self-publishing at the time. So it sounds kind of weird, because it's like, okay, they did have a different publisher. So it's like Vector Cell developed it, but then it was published by this other company. But the thing is that the lead developer at Vector Cell owns the company that published it. So really, it just looks like it was published by a different company, or by a different entity. It was published by a different legal entity, but not by different people. And then it wasn't until basically they ran out of money and decided to just push out what they had. And so that's when I think Ubisoft came in and essentially just gave them a couple, like, was it Ubisoft or another company did come in and give them some publishing money, but it wasn't much. It was basically covered the costs of, like, PlayStation of PlayStation and Xbox certification, which is like a few $1,000s. So, yeah, yeah. And it was kind of this hope of, it was like, all right, we're out of money, we'll push this out, and then this'll do well. or if this does well enough and gets enough attention, then we can finish the rest of the game, and we'll just make it episodic instead, or we'll make the full version, or we'll get picked up by a bigger, we'll get basically full publishing and deal, whatever. And none of it happened. It didn't happen at all, and the game is terrible, and and Vector Cell went out of business. Though that said, the lead developer, he's actually got a long history. He's worked on like 20 or 30 games over the years, some like all kind of medium-sized stuff, and he actually just put out a new game earlier this year that seems to be getting okay reviews. Like, so I harbor no ill will against him. It's just like, I don't think anyone on this was a screw up. I just think they probably just made some poor business decisions. They bit off more than they can chew. They were kind of a victim in a lot of ways of the HD changeover. A lot of people underestimated how much more work was going to go into making a high def game than making a PS2 game. And so I just think they got caught up in that, and like the art, the scaling of kind of the art pipeline was too big, and they wound up going with Fire Engine, which I can imagine like it was just a freaking nightmare to work with. Like, this is the only game like this that uses the engine, and just watching it you can kind of see why. Like, I do not imagine that was terribly fun, and so I can just kind of have nightmares about what probably all went wrong in myriad ways. So, yeah. Is that the... There's a lot of action sort of games. There are that use Fire Engine derivatives? Okay. I'm probably getting tired and talking out of my ass at this point. I did some preliminary research and didn't really... I guess the problem... Alright, here's the problem. I am getting tired and talking out of my ass. The main issue was that when I did the research, I didn't recognize the name of, like, any of them. So that's probably... That's a factor. I just didn't recognize the name of, like, any of the games, except for like Danganronpa, and yeah, and that's even one I only know the name, and that there's the stupid bear. I know nothing about Danganronpa at all. I'm familiar with the name, and there's a bear, and I'm getting. Oh, Journey. No, wait, yeah. Or wait, no. I recognize Journey, but Journey's not exactly a... I mean, Journey's a pretty game, but, not exactly mechanically intense. Yeah, so TFH show. So like Disgaea 4, 360 version of Catan, like those are all, uh, those are strategy games. I guess Hotline Miami is, I mean, it's fast paced, but it's 2D pixel animation. Um, and yeah, I think we're hitting that point where I should probably just turn off the stream before I say something like really truly stupid, like just really truly stupid. Oh, they redid Hotline Miami in the Fire engine for just one platform for whatever reason. Huh. 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 I know what. Okay, I know that Danganronpa is extremely anime. What's it about? Like, who's the bear? Is that the kind of thing that's even like possible to sum up in a chat? I don't know. You have a VOD of the chapter 4 skip trying to upload if you want to show it to the stream. I mean, depends on kind of how long. How long? Legal Court Hunger Games. Oh, oh, okay. Some high school of geniuses being maniacally tortured by a sadistic, all-powerful bear creature. Okay, so extremely anime. Extremely anime. Pits them against each other, and you guys solve murders. All right. All right. The bear is a robot. Okay. All right. I got it. I got it. Legal Court, Hunger Games, teenage murder, anime. Super anime. Probably no Danganronpa stream at all, ever. Though, look forward to in the new year when Kingdom Hearts 3 finally comes out. We're definitely doing a blind Kingdom Hearts 3 run, noting that Crystal and I will be doing the run together, and neither of us has ever played a previous Kingdom Hearts game. So specific to the run, this is pre-advertising, this is pre-building hype. Specific to the run, we're going to do a Kingdom Hearts 3 run, and we're going to do our best to piece together the story based only on what we learn in game and what we think we know through like Tumblr fan art. So yeah. We don't want someone who's up to speed. Maybe someone who knows what's going on, if they can agree to bite their tongue. Because it needs to be, we need the beautiful disaster, and so we would need someone, if we're going to have someone who knows what's going on, we need them there purely for their reaction of like, like their pain. Their pain is what they bring, what they need to bring, and like nothing, they cannot correct us until it's like way too late. So that's kind of that's what we're looking for with that. Is it will be completely uninformed. It will be a train wreck of trying to sort out characters and motivations and plots and stories, and yeah, so that will be coming when the game finally comes out. And I'm going to go to bed. Thanks, everybody, for coming out. Thanks for joining me for Speedrun Learning Curve. And thank you all for all of your help with it, for all of your support, emotional and otherwise. And yeah, take care. Have a good night. And we'll see you. We'll see you. We'll see. Vexel, I'll show it next time. I think I need to get to bed before I get any squirrelier. Just remind me on Twitter. I will show everybody. I'll show everybody the skip next time, and then it will definitely be processed by then. So yeah, okay, all right. Take care. Good night. I'm hitting the button now.